Make justice a reality for all God's children is what Martin Luther King Jr. said in his speech. Slavery was abolished in the United States on January 31st, 1865 with the passing of the 13th Amendment. 100 years after the Emancipation Proclamation, Dr. Martin Luther Jr. gave this speech. In this speech, he talked about how black people were not yet free. Since then, the black people gained all the same rights as the white people. But what about others in this world? Other people whose rights have been stolen. Those people are caught up in human trafficking. Today, I would like to inform you of what human trafficking is, why human trafficking is popular, examples of human traffickers, human trafficking is a form of slavery, and how to protect those who have been victimized. Human trafficking is a serious offense. Human trafficking doesn't always involve sex trafficking, but according to the Federal Trafficking Victims Protection Act of 2000, includes minors induced to perform commercial sex acts, those under age 18 who are forced, deceived, or coerced into providing commercial sex acts, and children and adults forced to perform labor and or services in conditions of involuntary servitude, peonage, debt bondage, or slavery through force, fraud, or coercion, according to the Polaris Project website. Human trafficking involves prostitution, strip clubs, factories, farms, homes, and normal businesses. There is no stereotypical victims, and the victims are often vulnerable people. Human trafficking does not need to involve any kind of smuggling or moving of victims. Traffickers include those who recruit, transport, receive, and exploit victims using force, threats, physical, psychological methods of control. Traffickers oftentimes bring in their victims by giving them false hopes. There is a high demand for services, both sexual and labor-driven. There are many different clubs in America, as well as many different prostitutes. And from experience, I see Americans that live a very busy, very stressed life. If we can find a way to make things easier, we do. Human trafficking can be done those ways. Under paying a maid to clean a house and turning her in a slave is human trafficking. Human trafficking is a low risk of law because there's little law enforcement for it, and human trafficking creates a high profit because consumers are willing to buy. And left unchecked, human trafficking in both forms will continue to thrive in environments where traffickers can reap high gains with relatively no risk, according to the Polaris Project's website. There are ways to help fight against human trafficking. You need to know the signs of trafficking. They're not able to leave. They're not free to leave as they choose. A minor providing commercial sex acts. There's a pimp. They're unpaid, no health care, and no personal possessions. These aren't all of them. They're just a few. And participating in such crime is highly illegal, and action is being taken against those who do participate. And victims are being exploited and used. They're no longer their own, and they're slaves. The dictionary.com says a slave is someone who's property of another person. It also says a person entirely under the domination of some influence or person. These people are under the influence of a leader, and they're not able to go as they please. As I spoke of previously, most victims of human trafficking are not free to leave, and they are under the control of another person or organization. And these victims are not getting proper compensation for their work, and oftentimes they're tricked into doing the work because of the promise for a better life. You can protect yourself against human trafficking, and don't buy into false hope someone may give for a better life, and don't participate in such a method of slavery. So today we've learned what human trafficking is, who can be a trafficker, why trafficking is so popular, how to fight against trafficking, and human trafficking is a popular form of slavery. Human trafficking is a form of slavery that is still prevalent in our culture. Many people participate in such a slavery, maybe without even knowing they did so. Protect yourself and your loved ones from such a life. Take action against those who victimize you by calling your local law enforcement agency and reporting any suspicions.